Hi, I'm Pat Sloan. It's my daily video, and we are talking about our word of the year, your motto of the year. If you don't do that, listen in anyways. Maybe you'll be encouraged. I have done a word of the year for, I don't know, 16 years, something like that. And I follow Ali Edwards' classes now because I find them very exciting and motivating. And one of my big goals was to be sure that every month I document my progress, or not so much progress, so document what I did with the word. It's like a reflection. Do we use that word in real life? Do we say, I'm going to write a reflection? But down below in my description box is a link to my website for my reflection of my word of the year. So I added, and I show you the pictures over there, I added in a journal. I got this paper journal. I'm not a scrapbooker. I don't usually do paper and journals and stuff. I've done it in the past and given all this stuff away, so I had to buy some new things, which was fun. I bought just enough to work with, which actually is more than enough. And here is my starter page. And if you go over to my website, link below, in the description box, you can see the other pages. And I wanted to show you March. So there is March, where I'm sort of working on the assignment, and I picked a journal page. So I'm going to, I might use both of those pages for March. But you know, the biggest thing, and I wrote about it, so I'd rather you just go and read that today. But the big thing is to keep it in your heart and keep that word. Mine is do. And as you can see, like, I am really focused on being sure that I'm sewing new things, sharing new things, sewing old things, finishing up old things. It's a year of doing. But it all kind of started because I didn't feel like I had a whole lot of control when I broke my wrists, and when I was trying to pick my word, I still didn't have, wasn't able to do very much. So being able to do was, you know, that was important. That's what I was looking for, trying to focus on. So that became my word, which is, for a quilt maker or any kind of maker, is the core of our life, doing things. And I really like writing in the journal. This is fun. I'm not doing it every day or anything like that, but you know, a couple times during the month I've pulled it out, you know, and worked on the assignments. Cool, I like it. So let's look at what I finished. I finished a little mug rug. I know I showed it to you, but I didn't have the hand binding stitched down, so I did the little rainbow mug rug. Done, done, done. I know it's tiny, right? we take those successes. But I also got the binding on this little table runner that was made from extra blocks from last year's charity quilt. And speaking of the, so this is done, table runner. But speaking of the charity quilt, this year's is Serendipity, and it will kick off tomorrow, which is Wednesday, the 10th. And then after that, it will be the 1st and the 15th. And will just be once this month. But we had to have a delay because the fabric, you know, all these fabric delays are out there. And that's just, everything just has to be flexible this year. It's had to be flexible all last year. You had to be flexible this year. So tomorrow it starts. So I've got my hope block. Remember, we're doing one block. I still have people writing me asking, am I doing multiple, you know, what am I doing? What is this? The hope quilt is one block a day, and it's the same block, and you're going to make a quilt. So there are some of the other blocks for this week, or this 5 rows. It's 5 blocks in the row. So there they are up on my wall. I thought the bunny was darling. You know, he's going to hop. I'm going to hop into the new year with him. And yesterday when I talked about the crumb blocks, did you like that in the video yesterday? It was yesterday evening. If you did not watch that, go back and watch it. Watch the crumb blocks. But I have 4 blocks, so I thought I would just show you. I thought I would show you what I've got. So they're all different sizes, but they're similar. You know, I'm not trimming them, and they're, you know, not even trimmed off like that's sticking out. And, you know, like here's one that the bottom is sticking out. You know, these are going to eventually be used somehow. And I've been mulling over how to use them. I can use them as is and just put some sashing. I could do a lot of different things with them, but right now I'm just going to build these out. And what I have is I'm keeping these design boards. And so I've got all of the pieces. So I now have all of the hope blocks cut, and this is all the extra stuff that I didn't use. So there's still, I have 4 of those crumb blocks. I bet I'm going to get at least 4 more out of here, sewing all this together. And I'm not going to add anything. So this is it. They're going to be very pink and white, you know, obviously, and a little teal and a little black. So that is pretty much what the hope blocks are. So I'm pretty excited to play with them. For me, it works best if I take some of the scraps and just work through and make one block, rather than like sort of doing them leader and ender right now, you know, like when I'm starting and stopping patchwork. Instead, I just sort of like to make one, because it's more cohesive for me that way. It's just like get the thoughts for one of them together. So I will this week hopefully make at least 2 more from those scraps that are there. Maybe 1, because if I think I'm going to do, I've got to probably do 2, maybe 2 a week, or try to shoot for that and see, because I want to have all those sewn up by the end of March, because that is when we're done with this project. Have to have goals. So what else? Oh, what else did I do? I got that panel, the zoology panel, basted, and I started quilting this baby quilt. So, and this one, because the baby is due here in March sometime, so I thought I better work on that. So I've got it, I'm doing the wave stitch. See the wave? And I found the perfect backing in my stash. I have hoarded this fabric forever. If you've been quilting a while and you remember Amy Butler did fabric, when Amy Butler's fabric first came out, this was one of her early lines. So I have been hoarding it for, oh, maybe 15 years. It's been a while. And I also pin basted on this one. There's some pins, because being that it's for a baby, I didn't want to do the spray adhesive on it. Even though I'm going to wash it probably twice before I send it down there, I still, the baby's in Florida, that's why I say down. Send it down there to Florida. So that's why I wanted to be sure. I got, you know, I didn't want to put the extra spray on there or anything. The other thing I did was trim my Florida quilt, so it's back under there. It is bed size. I'm not holding it up right now, but I wanted to show you what my thought process is on these strips that I cut off. So I have extra strips for the backing, because this was sent to the spa, and you know, you need to have this extra fabric on your backing so that they can put it on the roller so it has something to attach to. And depending on the design, you know, most of the time the design is going to go past your quilt, so when you trim it, you have quilting in this part here that you're not using. So that makes it more difficult to remove the batting if you're going to keep this. So how do I handle that? I think it depends on what this backing is and how much of it has stitching. If there's only a few places where this stitching has gone, then I'll just go and take those stitches out. But if this is like it's like almost this the whole length down, then what I do instead is just cut it off, because then I'll just throw that part away. I'm not going to spend my time on a half an inch to take out all that sewing, you know, from the long arm. But sometimes it's pretty fabric. It's really pretty fabric. This is the primary fabric used in the backing of the quilt. And so once again, there's stitching there, but I really like this fabric. And because this isn't that many places, see, there's a big gap here. You know, like there's no stitching there. So I am going to unpick this, but on the solid, I'm just going to cut it off. Even though there's still, because it's a little bit deeper on that too. This is, so anyways, that's how I think about the trimming of a quilt, of a backing, after it comes back from being long-armed. When I'm doing my own backings, I don't have quite as big a piece of fabric because I'm basting it myself. I'm not putting it on rollers for the machine. So it's a different process. I don't have to think of it the same way. I want to talk a little bit of cross stitch before we go. Oh, and I have I have a QA too, so I have a question and an answer. So I thought I'd do a quick QA at the end, so stay because it's kind of a fun one, and I actually want to hear what your responses are. So there was a really cute cross stitch that came out called Just My Type from the Fat Quarter Shop patterns. It's so darling, but the best part is they made all these super cute accessories to go with it that all have hearts. I love hearts. I love hearts. So there is little bitty the floss bitties that you wrap the floss on. These are so cute. They're so cute. Wait, let me get them out of here so you can see. There's the bird. Oops, a lot of bird. Then there's the hearts. What else? I think there's one that says love. Yeah, there's the love. I should have opened these first, shouldn't I? There's the love, and there's the typewriter. Yeah. So they can wrap, you can wrap your floss around these. There's also, which I think I showed you the other day, there's a needle minder. There's a pool, an XOXO pool. So cute. And then the line keeper, so that you can put that on your pattern and keep track. I really like this. I'm going to switch this out, I think, from the black one that I'm using. And then a zippy bag in this great mesh. I just adore this mesh. So it's a nice sort of short and wide one. These are great for quilt projects too. If you don't cross stitch, you can use most of these things, except for maybe the floss holders, for your quilting too. So there's the bag. Whoops, there's the bag. This is all called Just Your Type. And then for me, I went and got my next section of this cross stitch rolled. So it is a little shamrock. This is the back, this is the long piece, and I'm doing Kimberly's colors. So I rolled it differently now, so I have the this section pushed over like we talked about, and we'll see when I pull it off. I tried not to have any stitches underneath this piece here. So I will do the next 2 months on there, and then I'll roll it again. This is interesting. I like the long size, but it is not as easy to handle for me because I'm not very experienced at cross stitch, so I'm just not used to handling all that extra fabric, all the time. But it's kind of like applique. When you start getting big applique things, if you're doing something on a bigger piece, you still get a lot of extra fabric from where you're actually working. You're working in one little spot, but you got all this extra stuff to deal with. And it's basically the same concept. I'm just have to figure out my own method for how to handle it. And I like the design so much. They're so cute, and Kimberly's colors are darling. So this month is a little shamrock hat, so I really need to get my butt in gear because I haven't started to stitch that at all. I have not been stitching every day. I should put that on my do. That should be what I really do every day, but hasn't happened. Let's do the Q&A. It is from Lynn, and I think it's quite funny. And I think maybe she was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but also actually seriously wanting to know what to do. She says she has an area called, she has her area 51 for her fabric storage. And she says, how do you keep things and stuff from being dumped in there? And I told her, I said, well, I have to assume that you're not the one dumping this stuff in your room. That other people are dumping the stuff in your room. If you are dumping their own stuff in your room, then stop. But if other people are dumping, a couple of you left suggestions for her, which I thought were pretty cute because they're basically all the same thing. They're basically saying if other people in your family have dumped stuff in your room, pick it up and put it where they normally are, like at their dinner table spot or their kitchen counter spot or their favorite seat. Go and move that bunch of stuff they left in your space over to where they normally are. So I decided that police tape across the front of my space would be the best thing, and then they can't get in to leave it. So if you have other ideas about how to help your family members not dump their crap in your room, leave the suggestions below. What works for you? All right, my friend, Thank you so much for being here. Click the subscribe, hit the like for me, and then I will see you online. I love you. Mwah.